today. Today's video is just a short video really. I wanted to talk about preserving on a budget and the fact that you don't need a lot of expensive equipment to preserve. So if you're wanting to try a hand at preserving, whether it might be tomatoes or pickling some cucumbers or making sauerkraut or something like that, just know that you don't need a whole heap of fancy equipment. So I'm just going to show you what I have and what I use because I don't have anything special either, and you can still preserve quite easily with some simple, inexpensive items that you can buy. Or you might get your hands on for free or secondhand. So of course, if you are doing a lot of preserving and you're wanting to preserve really big bulk amounts of things, sometimes having some of the more fancier equipment might make that easier, and it is something that I will progress to at some point, but I don't think you need to. Our ancestors many years ago never had anything like that, and they preserved their food quite simply with very simple methods. So let's talk about some basic equipment that you need, and I'll just talk to you about how inexpensive or where you can source them from. So first of all would be a big pot. So a big stock pot like this. And this is a fairly cheap one. I actually got this from my dad. He doesn't use it anymore and he gave it to me. But you can buy these quite inexpensively. Or if you search around in op shops, thrift stores, you could get some quite cheap. And you can also maybe have a look on, buy, swap and sell sites and things like that. Or garage sales where people might be selling these for quite cheap. So, you may even score one for free like I did. So you need a big stock pot. What you need to think about is whatever size jar you have. This isn't a very tall jar, but you need to be able to have your jar sitting on the bottom and the water to be able to cover the jar. So your pot needs to be big enough that your jars will sit in there, and then you've got a little bit of enough space on the top for the water to actually cover the jars fully. So that's really the main thing, and a lid will make it much easier in terms of getting the water to the boil. That's just a really simple piece of equipment that, like I said, our grandmothers, great-grandmothers would have used. They certainly didn't have any fancy water bathing, appliances. So you can get electric water bath canners, but like I said, they're expensive. And I guess if you really get into your preserving and then you're going to do large amounts, maybe you might look at that because it makes it a little bit easier. I will be thinking about it in the future, mainly because an electric water bath appliance uses electricity. We live off grid, which means that our electricity is free. Whereas using a pot like this, I need to use the stove. I'm using gas, I pay for gas. So, that's just something, I guess, in the future that I'm thinking about spending some money on, but you don't need to. And I've been preserving for a little while and I've only been using this pot on the stove. Secondly, the other thing you may like to look at is jars. Obviously, you need to preserve, you need some glass jars. You don't need to go out and buy the fancy preserving jars. You can use jars from ordinary things that you buy from the supermarket. So this here was a pickle jar. This one, I'm not actually sure what was in there. It might have been like a pasta sauce or something like that. But you can just keep your jars from things that you buy. Remove the labels so you can soak them in warm water, and if you need to get some of the sticky stuff off, use a little bit of eucalyptus oil, rub it on, that will take the sticky part off. And so keep your jars, and you've got free jars really, because you've already purchased whatever it was, whatever food was in there. And you don't need to go out and actually buy jars. Of course, if you wanted to get some good quality jars, the proper preserving ones, not that like these work fine, but if you really wanted to have a really nice array of different sized jars, and you want to get the proper preserving jars, again, I would be looking at buying secondhand. Go look in op shops, look on buy, swap and sell secondhand, things online, and see who's selling them, and buy them that way rather than buying them new. I just picked up 80 Fowler's Vicola preserving jars that are, I think they're about 800 ml size for $100. So, you can pick them up quite inexpensively if you keep an eye out if you want to get those ones. But honestly, you don't have to. You can just keep the jars that you buy your food in, put them aside, take the labels off, ready to go. The one thing though that you do need to be aware of is you shouldn't reuse the lids. So the lid that comes with whatever food you've bought, those lids may not seal again properly when you use them again. And trust me, I have learned the hard way that I didn't buy new lids and thought, oh, I'm sure they'll be fine. And yes, some did seal, but many didn't. And then that means that is not going to be preserved for very long. I have to keep it in the fridge. We need to eat that first. They're not going to be able to be stored in a pantry long term. So if you're going to go to all that trouble to preserve some food, you probably want to know that you're going to, it's going to seal properly so that it stays safe and shelf stable. So in order to do that, buy new lids. Okay, so each time buy new lids. With the other preserving jars, the proper ones, they have lids and then they have seals. The lids don't need to be replaced, but the seals do. You need new seals each time you preserve, but often the lids can be reused. But with these types of jars, with those just screw top pop-up lids, you need to buy new lids each time. These lids, I've got a variety of different sizes. So these are smaller ones for jars. Oh, actually, not sure that it fits on this jar. No, it doesn't. This might be a smaller jar, more like a passata jar. So there's different sizes that you can buy. You can buy them online in packs of 10, 12 or whatever. And if you want to make sure that you're getting the right sized lid, you just need to measure the top of your jar and then order the right sized lid. So if you have a variety of different lids that will match the jars that you normally have, then you'll have new lids to use when you're preserving. So yeah, that's the one thing I really encourage you to buy is new lids if you're going to be reusing jars from the supermarket. They don't cost very much, so they are inexpensive. And like I said, if you're going to go through all of that trouble of preserving, you really want to know that they're all going to seal properly. You still might get the odd one that doesn't, but your chances will increase if you've bought new lids. Okay, a couple of other things that I think are good to have. One is these jar lifters. So they have a little part on the end there and they're like a claw, and you can lift, you put it on and you can lift the jar out of the pot. And this is more of a safety thing. Trust me, I have actually preserved in a water bath, like in a pot like this, and I've scooped out as much hot water as I can and then tried to use oven mitts to try to pull the jars out. It's really not safe. That's really hot water. You've got a hot jar. It could slip. You could burn yourself. So I think investing in one, and again, these are quite inexpensive. Have a look online. Very easy to get. You may be able to get some secondhand from someone who maybe was into preserving and isn't anymore. But yeah, these I really would recommend, because you can pop it in, pull up your jar, take it out safely without dropping anything or burning yourself. So I definitely recommend those. And this other item it's not necessarily essential. I've certainly preserved without it, but it's a wide mouth funnel. And there's different mouth sizes, so that they can sit in your jar like that. And then you can pour out whatever it is that you're putting in, whether it's pickling juice or whether it's tomatoes. It's obviously using a proper funnel is not going to work. It's too narrow. It'll probably work for like a pickling juice, but certainly not for tomatoes and things like that. But the wide mouth one, sit it in there, you make a lot less mess. Again, by experience, with not using one of these initially, trying to ladle into a jar and making a mess and then having to clean it before you seal it, it just makes more work. So again, very inexpensive, not essential, you can get away without it, but I think if you're going to go and pick up one of these, I would get a wide mouth funnel as well, just to make it much easier to fill your jars. So that's it. That really is it. The only other thing I guess that is usually recommended is once you fill your jar with whatever it is, you want to get any air bubbles out. You can buy little plastic things that you can put in around the sides to get rid of air bubbles, but a chopstick would work fine as well. So if you've got a chopstick lying around or you know what, a knitting needle would do it too if you want to use your knitting needles. Something like that would be fine, you just push it around the sides and make sure that the air bubbles escape and don't stay in there. But I really think you can use something that is lying around at home rather than buy something. But other than that, that is the minimum you would need to start preserving. So if you want to get into preserving, if you've never done it before, you just want to have a try, but you think, I don't want to get all that fancy stuff, I don't want to spend all that money, what if I don't like preserving, or I don't have money to spend on that. Just know that you can preserve on a budget. You can use very simple items like this stock pot, reused jars, and maybe spend a little bit on some lids and so on. And you can get started with preserving. That's all you need. Then maybe as time goes on, if you're really into it and you want to preserve a whole lot more and you're doing much larger quantities, you may want to look at some other equipment that just makes it easier for you, but you certainly don't need to. Like I said, many people have preserved this way for a lot of years. You don't need to spend a lot of money. So that's it. That's the end of today's video. I just wanted to show you that I think sometimes when you're, whether you're watching YouTube channels or whether you're watching other homesteaders on social media or whatever, and they're doing preserving, and you look at the equipment and think, oh gosh, that all just looks very expensive. I don't think that I could do that. I wanted to show you that you can with minimal cost, and you can give preserving a go. So if you're interested in, some of my videos that include things that I've preserved, I've done a beetroot one. So I've done a pickled beetroot, a lemon cordial or lemon lime cordial. Maybe it was lemon lime, can't remember. And I've also recently done pickled cucumbers. So I will leave a link below to those videos if you want to go and check out some of the preserving that I've done. But yeah, I would say get into it, have a try if you're interested in preserving, particularly if you have a garden and you've got excess produce, or even if you can buy cheap boxes of tomatoes and cucumbers and fruit from your local, fruit and vegetable shop or local farmer. It's a great way to preserve the taste of summer and have it through into the winter. So good luck. If you want to have a go at preserving, go and get yourself just a few items, inexpensive items, and get yourself started. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. And remember to subscribe if you're interested in these videos. It's free and you will get a notification when I post a new video, which is usually each week. Thanks so much. Bye.